So about 4 years ago, I lost almost 40 pounds. I quit smoking. I started running every day, twice a day. Started out just jogging, about 3 miles at a moderate pace, doing calisthenics, physical therapy. I still have, I never got surgery, bone spurs in both of my shoulders, osteoarthritis, and severe muscle fatigue, nerve encroachment, and it got to the point where I couldn't even lift up my grocery bags without severe pain in both of my shoulders. I was overweight, I was constantly fatigued, chronic fatigue, and my blood chemistry was off. They couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. All they said was that you have protein in your urine. So, because I asked for a full lab, you know, I wanted them to find out. I wanted to find out what was wrong with me. I felt like I was pre-diabetic, just based off the fatigue, the need to urinate all the time, the overweight. You know, I was on my way to obesity, to basically dying many years before my time, and I didn't want that quality of life, and I was looking for answers. And so, just like most people, I went to the medical doctors, I went to the medical system to try to find out what was going on, and the doctors couldn't tell me. All they could do was prescribe more drugs. Not all the doctors, I mean, the physical therapists were very helpful. They taught me exercises, and they helped me rebuild individual muscle groups. Something that, without, you know, a lot of research in that field, which there's so much that I was trying to learn at the time about my gut and what was really going on, because when the doctors told me that they didn't really know what was wrong, it might be genetic, but that I should just start taking medication, I asked, you know, when do I get to stop taking the medication? You know, is this going to fix what's going on? But I mean, I knew they couldn't tell me even what was going on. So how are they prescribing me medication? And the answer was no, that I was just going to keep taking the medication forever. And that wasn't a good answer for me. I was always taught, especially in the military and in nuclear power, you're taught to question everything. You don't assume anything. And just because somebody has a lab coat on, or has bars on their shoulders, or wears some laurel or some title of authority, does not mean that they are right. And when people's lives are at stake, like on a submarine or a doctor, the truth is more important than respecting some title or some authority. And so I didn't take their word for it. I went out, I did my own research. I went online, I spoke to people in alternative medicine, people in holistic medicine that really had answers. They said, hey, you know what, disease comes from your gut. People like Dr. Russell Blaylock, people like Dr. Edward Group, Joel Wallach, so many different people that are out there. You just don't see them. They're not on the mainstream media, but they're reading the medical journals, the cutting edge medicine. And it isn't necessarily that there's not scientists out there finding the truth. It's that medical school isn't about real science. It's about pushing the pharmaceutical industry, pushing the drugs. They're legal drug dealers, basically. And there are good doctors out there, but they're not the ones covered by your Obamacare. So, long story short, I just changed my life. The first thing I did is I set out to rebuild my gut, because I came to understand that all disease originates from an unhealthy or broken gut, and that all your metabolic processes, including your metabolism, your hormones, everything depend on your gut. And if you can fix your gut, you can fix your hormones. If you can fix your hormones, you can fix your metabolism. If you can fix your metabolism, you'll have energy. And if you make the right decisions when it comes to what you eat, and you're active, you're out there exercising and challenging your body and working your muscles and your heart, you're going to be in optimal health. You're going to have optimal genetic expression. And that's another thing that the MD doctors aren't talking about, is epigenetics, and the fact that it's a prima facie fact on its face. Two animals, identical twins, and one exposed to poison, one not, are going to have different genetic expression. One of them might develop cancer, the other one might live to a long age and be very healthy. They may even have totally different appearances based on their diet, the amount of sunlight they get, so many different things. One could have all their hair fall out. So there's, to ignore the environmental factors and just focus on the gene sequences themselves and say, well, no, you have flawed genes, you have bad genes. Based on what? Would those genes be bad if you had a perfect diet, if you lived in different circumstances? Maybe it's not about your genes, maybe it's more about what you're being exposed to. But then that opens up a whole nother realm that they don't want to talk about. And so it's been a long road for me. 2012, it's over 4 years now, almost 5 years since I turned my life around. And there's been a lot of ups and downs. I relapsed, started smoking again, cigarettes, started eating bad again. And so right now I'm going through the process of getting back in shape and finding that optimal genetic expression. And what I want to do now that I have the ability to share it with you through the video, share it with everyone else, which is more important than anything else. It's one thing to turn my life around, but it's another if I can share this information with other people. Because once you realize that you have control over your body, over the way you look, the way you feel, your potential, you're not going to be looking for answers with the doctors or with the television, because the media, the same people that are telling you that the government isn't listening to your phone calls, and not to worry that you're not going to have to pay for Obamacare, that it's going to be as cheap as a phone bill, and then the TPP is a good deal, and that, you know, America's bad. That's basically what this media is saying. It's an anti-American media. It's the enemy media. They're declaring war on America. It's not just the left or the right. These people don't like America. They hate America. That's why they attack our founding fathers. They attack our traditions, our culture. I mean, we are under full-on siege. And the last thing they do, an army does, before they destroy you, is they cut off your lines of communication, they cut off your food. It's basically, we're under siege right now by this media. They're lying to us. It's like a giant game of gaslighting, where they tell you that it's like in Star Wars, these aren't the droids you're looking for. That all this stuff claiming that the Clinton Foundation was involved in pay-to-play, and that the Chinese government is taking over Hollywood. That's all fake news. Don't worry about that. Don't believe that. Or that Monsanto and genetically modified food is dangerous. Oh, that's fake, and you don't want to label GMOs. I mean, God forbid you know it's in your food, because then your food bill would go up. That was their whole justification for stopping Prop 37 in California. So for anybody that thinks that the election system isn't, that these electronic voting machines aren't rigged and that the media isn't spreading propaganda, just look at California and Prop 37. California is supposedly this bastion of intelligentsia where people question corporate America, Wall Street, and they're against Monsanto and against, pro-environment and all this stuff. But yet, a bill to label our food so that we know if there's GMOs in it gets shut down in California. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I think people just need to start looking for answers themselves.